You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM. The Jay Allen Show is streaming now on safetyfm.live.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of The Jay Allen Show. Today's March the 31st of 2020. Originally, this episode was scheduled to come out on Friday of last week. Due to some technical issues, we were unable to release it. Anyways, I hope everything's going well with you and yours. So with everything going on across the world currently, I wanted to jump directly in, have this conversation with you, and get rolling right away. Today's interview is with Drew Hinton. Drew is currently a Director of Safety for Industrial Service Solution Process Equipment Services Group, overseeing the EHS professionals at 5 operating companies across the United States. So, today I wanted to jump in, have a conversation with Drew to talk a little bit about everything about him, what's going on in the world currently, and his perspective on what's going on. So I don't want to waste a lot of your time, so let's get this rolling. Here on The Jay Allen Show. Drew, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Drew, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Oh, pretty good. Don't do the sir thing. It throws me off. I think my father's in the room.
I hear that a lot.
So how are things in your neck of the woods?
They're steady. They're luckily in the county that I'm in. They are. We don't have any confirmed cases of the COVID-19, but every county around us has some. So it's starting to creep up on us.
Got it.
How about you?
Well, I'm in Orlando, so
Okay.
you can already imagine on what the cluster is here.
Right.
It's just one of those things that, of course, people tend to come here because of the sun, and there's a lot more people coming in, and people are freaking out, not sure. And then, of course, spring break, they had pretty much everything open, so they were not sure if that was good, bad, or indifferent because they want to help the economy. But I think they might have just started a cluster without realizing it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I want to tell you, originally when I contacted you, as you are aware, we had went back and forth. You had been posting quite a bit on social media, so I was interested in a lot of the stuff that you were doing. So the original intent was to have you on and discuss your career and go through that whole thing. But we're kind of in a small, different world at this particular moment. So I think we can talk a little bit about everything if you're okay with that.
Sure, let's go.
So the way that I look at it is I look at it this way. We can start off with what impacts are you seeing in your area, as you were already discussing. So the area that you're in, and I know that you're kind of in several different fields at the same time too. Are you hearing or seeing something that is not being reported on the media, or are you seeing stuff kind of at a different perspective?
I mean, there's a few things that are not getting reported on the media. I've got several physicians that I'm friends with that work in the ER departments at various hospitals around the area, and also I've been doing an ongoing research project on the COVID-19. So I've been talking to different epidemiologists and toxicologists across the country. But one of the biggest things that I've seen, at least in our area, is that the misconception that there are enough tests, and which is for our area, like right now, it's completely not true. Every ER physician that I've talked to, they said they're having to triage and pick who they want to test and who they're not going to test. So that's crucial for businesses to understand. Do you need to just take the 2 weeks or 14 days self quarantine at home, or do you need to go to get the test? So the way kind of the media is portraying it on some outlets, I should say, not all of them, but some media outlets will tell you, if you think you have symptoms, go ahead and get tested, which is in my opinion is not the best option. A lot of the more the sources that I really rely on that are more factual will tell you that don't go get tested unless you're having severe trouble, difficulty breathing, you're in a high risk category, and you're experiencing all the symptoms. Around here, at least the state of Kentucky is they're pretty strict, and they're very, in my opinion, very proactive. Governor Beshear has been, noted on several news outlets as being one of the most aggressive governors in the country as far as how active he was before we even had a lot of cases in the country or in the state. So it's really a matter of which media outlet you look at, but you're starting to see, Governor Beshear actually put in today at 8 p.m. it used to be all non-essential businesses had to close, and now he changed it to all non-life sustaining businesses have to close tonight, March 26th at 8 p.m. So that's going to put a hamper on a lot of businesses across the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So I'm interested to see what kind of major impact it's going to play. So you're starting to see a lot of companies that are laying people off left and right. So I'm interested to see what this closing of all non-life essential businesses is going to do for the state.
So as you're seeing this, and if you don't mind me asking, of course, you've seen this starting as of today. Have they given a timeline for how long they'll be closed for, or they're closing it down for?
It's set indefinitely. Most of the actions that the governor's been taking has kind of been in 2-week increments, and that's kind of an unofficial terminology, I guess you could say. It doesn't really come out and say that, but usually about every 2 weeks he'll update his protocols. So I'm foreseeing just them kind of sticking with that and going, in 2 weeks we'll hear another update. But I don't foresee that getting let up anytime soon, in my opinion.
Okay, and the reason, and let's kind of go through a couple of things, because I want to make reference to this to the audience, of course. You are a PhD student. This is why I'm asking some of these questions directly like this. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that, not just me and you just kind of sitting here going, what do you think?
Right.
Where's the ball? Just to be okay with that. I mean, right now, before I actually jumped on, I want to say that they were saying that the unemployment, that there was 3.2 million in change people that had filed for unemployment. So if this is what you're seeing in Kentucky, I'm wondering how this is going to impact going forward in regards if they start closing non-crucial businesses. Because, I mean, let's just be realistic. That essential business list that they have open, it covers quite a few things.
Right.
I mean, I was looking at one last night, and one of them even had a liquor store, like liquor stores. And I was like, okay, I can understand from being locked up for a period of time, you might not want to kill someone, so the liquor might help. But
Right.
I don't know if that's really essential.
Yeah, I kind of wanted the same when I saw that list as well. But yeah, I was kind of trying to figure out where they're going with that. But yeah, it's there's quite a few businesses, and what I've seen is a lot of businesses that they're trying to find loopholes to where they can stay up and running. They're trying to find loopholes to say that they're supporting some of the critical infrastructure, which some of them are, some of them are not, but they're trying their best. I've seen a lot of companies try to do their best to find that loophole so that they can stay up and running at whatever cost it may be.
Well, I mean, it's some very interesting times in some of the stuff that's going on because you're seeing a lot of people being laid off, but and they're saying, okay, you're being laid off. This way you can file for unemployment, which that's understood. But then you have to look state to state because each state's a little bit different on what percentage of your income you're potentially going to get. I was speaking to somebody from Nevada a few days ago, and they had referenced that Nevada was only 4% of your total income, which that's not really going to put you in a very good spot. I mean, I guess something's better than nothing.
Right.
But the other thing that most people are forgetting about is that automatically when you get laid off, you lose health benefits or any kind of benefits that you have. So how are you looking at this? And I know that we're kind of going a little bit generic and general on some of the conversation, but what are you seeing there? Are you noticing some of these very odd things on how this now with universal health care? And I know this can almost become a political rant, so I want to be very, very careful on how I go here, but it almost seems like it's a necessity to an extent. I mean, I think it's really weird because this is the opportunity for people to go to the ballot box. And I've said this on some of the other shows where you can vote if you're in the Democratic Party, where you have the opportunity of actually voting for a guy who wants universal health care or and the other guy that's kind of open to the idea. And of course, we have some people that are already in the White House that have their own idea on how things are done. And I'm not saying one's good, one's wrong, but what are your thought process on the whole thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like you said. I think I was reading this morning that the total unemployment was like 4 times the previous record that they had for total unemployment cases. So I don't think the country as a whole, in general, I know some, it's different from site to site, but I don't think we were ready as far as looking at all the indirect effects of this pandemic. And like you mentioned with the healthcare cost, and you can get COBRA to the extent that you can, and they're slowly passing some of these legislative executive orders to where you can get extra sick days, and the government will reimburse you at the end of the year, or reimburse the company at the end of the year. But yeah, it's not something I don't think that we were properly prepared for from a company standpoint or from a country as a whole. Like I said, it's very site to site, but I know they are a lot of organizations and companies are giving people the option to defer some of the payments. You see a lot of on social media and on the news where landlords are deferring payments for rent for companies and allowing them to use that to pay their employees. But even with student loans and all these other different things, they're allowing you to defer that that payment for, different periods, 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, whatever it may be, so that you can pay off the essentials. So like you said, you're losing your employer benefits. So you're losing that portion that they're paying. And so but a lot of people don't realize how much it actually costs out of pocket. So, you're not realizing that your company's paying for, 30, 40, 50% cost of your health insurance. And even though you're paying, sometimes it seems like a lot, that's usually about half the cost. So, I mean, it's definitely a big impact that I don't think a lot of people were adequately prepared for, and that's what they're all scrambling for, is they're filing unemployment, and luckily they're waiving that grace period to where you can have to wait, and they're waiving all the the requirements where you have to go out and look for jobs. They're waiving a lot of those requirements to where you can get your unemployment quicker. And of course, the stimulus is going through the House right now, trying to get that passed. So hopefully that'll help. But I mean, like you mentioned with the one state that has 4%, benefits. I mean, that's not a whole lot. It's better than nothing, but it's really not a lot. So I think people are going to start within the upcoming weeks really setting in, and that's, I made a post on LinkedIn, I think it was yesterday or the day before, to where companies are needing to look at the psychological first aid aspect of things. We're taking into consideration the business aspect. How do we keep the business up and running, and also how do we keep our employees from being infected and passing on, maybe being asymptomatic carriers of the COVID-19 and passing on to somebody else. But also, what are we doing to help comfort and calm our employees and reassure them and take care of that psychological first aid?
This is The Jay Allen Show.
Have you learned about human and organizational performance and you wanted more? Well, now is your chance. Fisher Improvement Technologies is conducting an advanced HOP practitioner workshop. Now is your opportunity to learn these advanced HOP techniques in this 2-day workshop that is designed to give leaders the ability to understand and manage integrations of advanced error reduction in organizations, also known as ERROR. Participants are provided with multiple experiential learning opportunities to ensure they can use the information in their day-to-day interactions. For more information, go to arrowhp.com. That is AEROHP.com and click on the link that says Open Enrollment.
And we are back on The Jay Allen Show on Safety FM.
I think you almost knew exactly what I was going to ask you next, because that's exactly where I wanted to go. Because you being a safety director at an organization, that's what I was wondering. What are your people thinking about the things that are going on? What effect is it having psychologically on them? And then what is going on with them? Are they thinking about, the different things that are going on? And then what happened? Or have you guys had to lay some people off? Or if you're not allowed to talk about it, I understand that too.
Sure. Yeah. It's really, so I oversee the EHS departments for 5 operating companies across the country. And it really varies from site to site. We've got some guys that completely blow it off, and they're giving you the excuse that it's just the flu, it's not a big deal. And then there's other guys that are literally worried for their jobs, they're worried for their families and everything else. There's companies that are laying off people left and right in my community, and in other states as well. So what we're doing is we're just constantly, staying in complete contact with them and saying, hey, it's going to get tough. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But, we're here for you. Of course, our company and a lot of companies as well like this have, the employee assistance programs, the EAPs, offered through the HR department. A lot of companies have that and don't utilize that, but it's a great resource that they can do that with. But simply checking in on guys, I went into the shop the other day, just went out to the shop and talked to the guys. I've been working from home for several weeks, but just going out there and talking to them for a little bit, still keeping my 6-foot social distance, but going out and talk to them, just ask them how everything's going. And, they'll tell you, say, hey, it's good to see you around, or good to see a face once in a while and actually talk about these things. My philosophy is, a lot of people have the same one, is, don't sugarcoat it. I'm very transparent when it comes to safety, health, safety, environmental, whatever it may be. I'm 100% transparent. So if it's bad out there, I'll let you know, and you're going to know my stance on it. If it's good, then I'll let you know that as well. So that's my stance is, be honest with them. I learned that back from my days in EMS is, if we had a patient when I was working in EMS, if we had a patient that was in a grave situation, they were having cardiac arrest or whatever it may be, a pretty serious situation. The one thing I was taught from the very beginning was never to tell the family that it's going to be okay. Always, tell them something. We're doing everything we can. We're doing the best we can. They're in good hands. But if you tell them everything's going to be okay and that person passes away, they're losing trust from the get go. So I kind of take that approach from our workplace, the safety standpoint as well, is reassure them with the action that you're taking. Um, you know, be honest with them. Tell them if you think it's going to get worse, or if the governor, or the president said this, and this. Let them know what's going on. Now, of course, there are some things that you may need to withhold just to keep from overwhelming them. But dealing with pandemics in the past, I mean, you want your people to be informed as much as possible. Just kind of getting back to the fire and EMS days was, when we had the Ebola outbreak. Of course, there wasn't a lot of people that were infected with Ebola in the U.S., but we made some runs on people that thought they had it, and that was the one thing that they, probably the top thing I heard from patients that we responded to was, you know, I wish I had more information on what it was so I wouldn't worry so much. So that's probably the biggest thing is just making sure your employees are informed with accurate information. I try to tell the guys everywhere I go. I said, don't. I said pick who you're listening to, which media sources you're listening to, and make sure it's a reputable source because just as well as I do, some media sources will blow things out of proportion and then get people hyped up as much as they can. So it's really a toss up as far as where you go. So like I said, some people take it seriously and they're worried for the families, worried about losing their jobs, and then other people are just they completely blow it off. They say, "Well, it's just a flu," but we all know it's not.
So what are you thinking overall, if you don't mind me asking, of course, having the EMT background, of where they're saying, okay, you can go stand in line, and I'm not talking about the car lines, I'm talking about where you go physically stand in line to get tested to see if you have it or not. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea based on your previous experience?
I mean, as long as you're doing your social distancing, I mean that portion of it's fine. My concern is it gets into um, having enough tests, which most of the places are not going to test you unless you check all the boxes on the criteria. If you have all the symptoms, you're around somebody that was traveling to an area that may have had it, or they were treating somebody that may have had it. Most places that are doing this testing in line, they'll make sure you're checking all the boxes. Now, of course, there is a risk that sometimes contract it, and that's one thing that I've kind of the philosophy that I've lived off of is you can make all these rules and policies, administrative controls, do your 6 foot social distancing, wash your hands, but you have to plan for people not to follow that. You're not going to get 100% compliance with every single policy, so you have to plan for people not to follow those guidelines. And somebody's going to get within 6 feet, somebody's going to cough and not cover their mouth, or whatever it may be. So you have to plan for that. So with these, I think it's good to keep if they're doing it in a clinic setting or an outside setting. I've seen on the news a lot of people that were doing it. Basically, they drive up in their car and get tested. The medical professionals will roll their window down and do the test right there on the site. That's not as bad, but I think a big benefit of that is they're keeping these patients out of the ER so that the ERs can focus more on the life-threatening situations, people that actually need care, rather than doing some of the basic triage and things that maybe could have been taken care of by a normal physician.
Well, and I have to bring this up because the reason why I asked the question is like in the area that I'm currently in, the convention center is opening up or has opened up where they're doing tests and they're making people stand in line. And of course, if you're 65 or older, you kind of guarantee that you're going to get a test. If
Right.
you're 40 or younger, and I don't know what the hell happens between 41 to 64, but that's a whole other story. But if you're 40 and younger, then they kind of make you go through a whole checklist scenario.
Right.
That's the reason why I asked the question. Now, if you don't mind me asking, what's going on with the schooling right now? I know that you're a student for a PhD. Have they actually moved all your stuff, your coursework to online, or what's taking place right now?
Yeah, so my courses are online already, but I've been getting notification emails from the college as well on their in-person classes, and they've moved all of those to online. I know all of at least here in Kentucky, all the major um, educational facilities, University of Kentucky, Louisville, Western Kentucky, all the big universities and colleges have moved to online. And I have a daughter that's in elementary school, and they're out at least until April 20th. That was the governor's order. But honestly, I don't foresee them going back till, I don't foresee them going back to the rest of the year just because of how much they've missed already.
Now, are you talking about the school year, or are you talking about like
the rest of the school year? So yeah,
sure. I was like, whoa.
yeah, no. They're out till April 20th, so they have right around a month left in the whole school year to begin with. So I don't foresee them, just because of the situation that's continuously rising. We're getting more cases. I think in Kentucky we've got probably close to 150, give or take, cases right now confirmed. And I think last night we had like 30 some odd cases in a 24-hour period that were confirmed. So we're starting to get a major increase in hours. So I don't foresee personally our elementary school systems and the grade school systems going back the rest of the school year. And I would say that the universities and colleges will stay with the online system. It's like I said, mine was online to begin with, but they'd already transitioned to that as well. And I've talked to a few students that were doing in-person classroom courses at Western Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky, and they're if they've never done online courses, they're struggling with trying to transition to that. So that just adds to the stress factor again on top of that.
This is the Jay Allen Show.
Wanted to tell you about something special that we have coming up. This will actually be taking place on April the 1st at 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Safety FM.
Welcome to a special presentation of a campfire talk featuring Bob Edwards, Mark Easton, Todd Conklin, and hosted by Jay Allen, exclusively on Safety FM.
And we are back on the Jay Allen Show on Safety FM.
So what is your degree in, that you're going for, if you don't mind, your doctorate, better saying?
Yeah, so I'm going for my PhD in occupational health and safety.
Okay. So as you're doing this, what was your original projection on graduation? If you don't mind me asking, of course, that's putting a lot of pressure. All these people are going to know this.
Yeah, no. I'm planning on graduating either the end of 2021 or like January 2022. So within the next year and a half or so is the goal.
Now, is this going to change what your dissertation was going to be about?
No, my dissertation is going to be the same. I thought about doing something about all this pandemic issue, but I'm actually going to be doing a dissertation on the impairment effects or lack thereof on CBD products within safety sensitive workers. So, and there's not been a whole lot of studies on that. So I'm going to try to figure out one way or the other.
This might be a good time to start using, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
So as we have this conversation, we kind of talk a little bit about everything here, and I know we're trying to make some of this lighter, and it's a very difficult time to do this. What are you seeing as some of the biggest things that are coming out of this in regards to what having an impact to your day in and day out work? I know that you were saying that your people want you to be honest and upfront on what's going on, but what are you seeing as let's just call it what it is, what we do for a living, how it's having such a huge impact? I did see a post that you were actually going back and forth on earlier this morning about how some of the first people that are let go of, and this was somebody else's post, that some of the first things that people let go of is a safety position. So how can you tell the people that are in our little niche of work on that won't be the case, or what can you tell them to almost give some kind of assurance, or is that something that's not even there at this particular point?
I mean, honestly, I wish that I could say there was assurance from across the board, but it's really going to be a site specific. It depends on your safety culture. I've worked at different companies, and you'll come into companies and see safety culture is completely relaxed. They don't value safety. They want to put safety on the back of somebody else in the company and let them share responsibilities. And you have somebody that says, "Hey, I want a safety here on the forefront, and that is our top priority. That is our core value, and we're going to honor that." My recommendation is do as much from a safety standpoint. If you're in a safety professional role right now, do as much research and studying from reliable sources that you can to increase your preparedness. Even if you have cases in your area or cases in your county and you're on, shelter in place orders, you can still start looking to see what trends are happening and figure out what's possibly going to come in the future, so that you can let your employee your employer be aware of what actions may be coming. So that's the big point, is you want to make your employer, you have to make them see your value and what you're bringing to the table. If they think that it's just something anybody else can do, then yes, you may be one of those people that are cut. And like the LinkedIn post this morning, it's sad and unfortunate that there are companies out there that will, safety's the first one to cut. But I mean, just like everything else, this is it's a technical field that has specialized expertise. Engineers. I wouldn't want an engineer to be doing safety, and I wouldn't want safety to be doing engineering, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you can intertwine and bounce ideas off each other and help each other out. But it's really like it's a fine-tuned niche that we do. So I think the biggest point is that you have to basically brag on yourself, and I mean, for lack of better terms, but show what you're bringing to the table, show your worth, and really bust your butt in these times. So this is a pandemic that, of this capacity, not a lot of people is going to be able to say that they've experienced that and actually had a hand in trying to plan it out, prepare for it, and react to it. Moving forward, we can say we're being proactive if we ever have another one like this again. Hopefully we don't. But we have to make sure we're using this as a learning experience. The company that I work for, we've got, operating companies across the United States, from, Alaska to Florida to New York and everywhere in between. So one of the things we all share with Insight to Sight is looking at, what's going on in Washington, what's going on in New York City, what's going on here, so that we can understand the loopholes, we can understand the things that are working for them, the things that are not working for them, and try to apply that. So, yesterday we had the Coffee County in Kansas, which is where my actual employer is at. They issued a shelter in place, stay at home order for all non-essential visits. So our guys will still be working because we do support the critical infrastructure. But I mean, that's taking a big impact on that. So especially within the safety field, yes, we can do a lot from home. And I've been working from home for several weeks now. But when you disappear from the office, when you disappear from the field, field service sites, and they're not seeing you as much, it does decrease the morale a little bit to your employees. And I say a little bit for my company. It may be a lot for others, but it does decrease the morale when they're saying, "Hey, I have to come to work. Why is this guy getting to stay at home for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever? And I haven't seen him in a month." So that's why I try to come in and every now and then and just come in and just spend some little time, like I said, keeping that social distancing, but talk to the guys, just let them know, hey, I know I'm not here in the office, but I'm just a phone call away. Text me, whatever it may be. If you need something, I live 6 minutes away from my workplace, so I always emphasize, hey, if you need something, I can be there right away.
So what would be the best advice you can give to a safety professional right now in regards of how to be able to handle this? And I'm not talking about what they need to do at work. I mean, just handling from the standpoint of the things that you're seeing, being as you oversee so many different sites.
Right. My biggest thing is to really reach out to your local departments, your local health department. If you have a good connection and good communication with your local hospital, local medical facility, that's something I've been blessed with, and having several connections within the medical field, just because I came from the medical field, so I can have the luxury of talking with physicians and everything else. But that's probably the biggest thing, is to reach out to your local authorities, your health department, your hospitals, that if they can. Some people may defer you away because they're too busy, but just really stay in touch with them, and try to figure out a build a relationship with them. Like I said, some people were wanting to send people to the hospital from the first sign of symptom, but it may be just a flu and they want to send them to get tested. Figure out what your health department's recommendations are at your local area. Figure out what they want to do. So if they say, hey, you have to have these 4 symptoms and all these criteria, communicate that to your employees so that they know, what's recommended. If you have this, then you're going to self quarantine at home. If you have this, then we'll send you to the hospital to get tested out. But as far as like I said, with a safety professional, it's just really about reaching out to as many resources as you can. And LinkedIn, that's the only form of social media I have is LinkedIn, but it's a great resource. I mean, if people that don't have it, it's a great place to network. Even if you're just bouncing ideas off somebody across the country, you may find out something that's maybe you weren't aware of. But again, just especially looking from state to state or even city to city within your state, just look at those trends and what's going on to figure out where your area may be heading.
Now, Drew, if people want to find more information out about you, you kind of already answered it, but I'll ask for you to give the plug to your own LinkedIn page, I guess, for them to actually be able to follow you.
Sure. Yeah. Just go to LinkedIn, and my name is Drew Hinton, Hinton, and you can find me on there. And I'll be more than happy to, answer any questions or help out or give you some guidance. I tell everybody from the get-go, I don't claim to know everything, but if I don't know something, I'll find an answer, at least point you in the right direction to somebody that does have the answer, so I can help out as much as possible.
You're not maxed out on connections or anything like that, where they'll just have to be able to follow, right? Just want to double check.
Not yet.
But not yet. Okay. Well, Drew, let's do this, because I know that, kind of some strange times. I would love to have you back on at some point where we could have a normal conversation where it's not just related to COVID-19 and just cover some information with the audience and what's going on in your world. I really do appreciate you coming on to the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Well, this brings another episode of the Jay Allen Show to an end. I appreciate Drew Hinton taking the time today to have the discussion with us. We'll be back with another episode of the Jay Allen Show before you know it. Take care of yourself for the time being. Goodbye for now.
The more you listen,
the more we get into your head. Safety FM.
Wondering how you can show your love? Head over now to Facebook and drop a like.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen. Real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and 1 consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.